if you watch YouTube, you've definitely heard of our next guest. And if you haven't heard of him, you need to go check him out because the man has a wealth of knowledge that he is sharing with you. But on top of all that knowledge is a ton of entertaining videos that will really make you want to get out and fish. Not to mention what we're going to talk about today and his recent catch, that's going to make it even better. So, ladies and gentlemen, this week it's going to be good. So sit back, relax. Here we go. You listen to Finding Demo Surf Fishing. Oh, man, I've been waiting for this episode. I've had this episode written down for way too long, just waiting to get it going. But that's right, ladies and gentlemen, this week, new episode coming at you, new guest, and this week it's going to be phenomenal. That's right, we're talking to the Lawless Tide, Mr. Sean Lawless, and he's got a lot of cool stuff for us to go over and talk about. So, Sean, appreciate you, brother. Welcome to the show.
Thanks, man. I appreciate it.
Appreciate you coming on. So, we're just going to get the fun stuff right out of the way before we even get into the questions here. But let's get all the important info out there. So on YouTube, the Lawless Tide, Facebook, the Lawless Tide, Instagram at _Lawless_Tide, Twitter. I was surprised. I was like, dang, Twitter too. You got them all covered, man.
I'm
Lawless
not
Tide.
too active on the Twitter though.
That one confuses me.
I've neglected it.
And if people want to get in touch with you, the Lawless Tide at gmail.com. Is that correct?
Yes, sir.
All right. And then correct me on this one. So you started out in Oklahoma. Actually, I'm going to let you tell me this, but from what I was Oklahoma firefighter. You retired, and now you've just blown up in the fishing world. So can you take us through that? Where am I at? Where am I missing on this?
Okay. 5 years ago, I'd never set foot in Florida, except for I had a trip when I was a kid at like 6 years old or so. But outside of that, I'd never set foot in Florida. My wife was born in Pensacola, and she's a transplant to Oklahoma, and she has always wanted to come back to live in Florida. Well, I worked on the fire department. At that time, I'd been on 20 years. We had two boys that were high school and college, so it wasn't really feasible to move right at that time.
Right.
But 5 years ago, we took a trip down here. She talked me into it. We came down. I believe it was the third day into the trip. I just looked at her and I said, "You want to move here?" And she's like, you better not be kidding." I was like, "No." I was like, this is amazing. This is like Disneyland. I was like, I couldn't believe that all this was down here, and I never even knew about it. And so on the way back from that trip, we started looking at houses online. And we literally ended up buying a house we found online on the way home from that trip.
Oh, man.
So we put together a 5-year plan. The fire department has a deal where after you reach your 20th year, you can sign up for Plan B, which means you'll retire in 5 years, and you have to retire, but you get a kind of bonus incentive added onto your pension. So okay. I signed up. It was the longest 5 years of my life.
I bet.
I mean, I love my job, but all I could see was, what was coming down the road. And I was just so excited about it. And it finally got here, and retired and moved down here full time, sold everything in Oklahoma. We basically, when we came here, we just had a pickup truck and a car, and that was basically it. And we were just set.
Dang. Wow, man. Okay. So you get here, you get everything set up, and then you just moved right into fishing. Did you start in the surf? Where did you start?
We started, of course, I started that first trip fishing in the surf. I guess that's probably when people come to visit, that's usually, that's the most feasible, it's the easiest, and it's the most affordable.
Right.
So I went down and started surf fishing, and I was having fun. I wasn't catching a lot, but I hired a guide. I was like, man, I want to catch a shark. I've never caught a shark. So I hired a guide to take me to go catch a shark. Well, we didn't catch anything.
Oh, dang.
And yeah, and I was like, okay, it's on now. Uh,
Okay.
so the rest of that trip, I spent almost every waking hour that my wife would allow me at the beach fishing, for sharks. I learned, catch a ladyfish, cut it up, cut it in half, throw that out, a shark will come get it. So like before that trip was over, I'd hooked up with like 4 or 5 sharks. Never landed one. I got one close to the beach and he straightened the hook, but that was it. I mean, I was hooked. I was like, this isn't bass fishing. This is like legitimate, real fishing. So
Oh man.
that's how it all started. Was
And
yeah,
you went right for the major drug tug. I mean, you didn't go for the little pompano or the whiting. No, you went right for the shark. Oh man. Oh, I
yeah.
can't
That
imagine.
was probably the fireman coming out.
All right. All right. So, okay, so that moved you into that one. So that answers the later on question for me, but so that's what got you into surf fishing. Okay. Hey, look at these questions just getting melting off just on the intro. I'm loving this one. Um so you went shark fishing and you got down here and you maintained shark fishing from the beach too if I remember reading correctly. Is that right?
Oh yeah, yeah. I still to this day, love to go down and shark fish.
You are you doing shark fishing charters or were you just doing it for
I,
you?
I do I no, I do some charters. I don't want this to turn into a job.
Right,
I
right,
want it to stay a passion.
right.
So I do shark charters, but I don't advertise. All I do is word of mouth. Some of the local area guides, when they're double booked or somebody's out of their area, they will send people my way.
Okay.
But I mean, I enjoy it, but it's a double-edged sword for me because I know it's the business and it's the nature of fishing, but it just kills me when somebody pays me money to take them fishing and they don't catch anything.
Yeah.
I know I put in the work and I'm doing everything that I'm supposed to, but it just kind of it, and I know that's part of it. But that's a part that I've had trouble handling.
Dude,
If
I can't tell you how many guys have told that. They're like, okay, that's the biggest worry. It's like, okay, I know where I got to go. I know the tide is right. I know the bait's right. I know weather's right. Everything's right. It's going to be a good day. And then if it doesn't happen, it's like, I don't know what happened. And it's the worst what if scenario for you guys.
yeah,
Yeah.
yep.
Well, I thought it was cool with you. So you were one of the very first people that got me interested in RC boat fishing when I had heard that you had an aqua cat. And then I saw it on YouTube. I
Oh
was
yeah.
like, oh, cool. Let's take a look at this. Um, do you still use the aqua cat?
Yes, yeah, I do. It's down right now, but not because of the AquaCat, but because of the batteries.
Yeah, batteries will kill you no matter what brand you own. But yeah.
Oh yeah, I've had a couple battery swelling problems, so I'm
Ooh.
I'm working on fixing that, but I don't want to buy a new $500 battery until I'm sure I've pinpointed the problem because
Yeah,
those are expensive.
absolutely. Because they're using lithium ion, right?
Yes, yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, those batteries are not cheap. We have them in the RV world, and every time somebody's like, "Oh, I want lithium ion," I'm like, "Please don't, please don't buy those." Do you realize the pain and suffering you're about to go through by buying these?
Yeah.
All right. Okay. So the AquaCat, and it was really cool what you were doing with it. Gave me my first thought of like, oh, okay, this is a smart safety. Versus getting in the kayak and bait out. The boat has a great range. It has a great bait capacity. It's a smart system. Um,
Right.
is there anything else? Anything you really love about it? Anything you don't really love about it? Anything on that?
Well, I mean, it's technology related, and I mean, I struck when I started out on the fire department, all our reports were done handwritten,
Hmm.
and by the time I left, everything was computerized, and I still wasn't, I wasn't up to snuff on that. So the the technology part, I'm always trying to learn more, but it seems like as soon as you learn it, it's outdated.
Yeah.
And so like the boat has amazing features, like you can program it to run a GPS route and set waypoints, and then you can have it drop the bait right there and then come right back. And that's like kind of, I guess you say, out of my pay grade. I just I I stand on a step stool so I don't lose contact, line of sight with the
Yeah.
antenna, and I just like to manually run it. Just if I was smarter and better at the technology, the pre-programming's the way to go.
Right.
But I'm just kind of, I guess you could say, a little bit. I don't know if you can be old school with a RC boat, but as far as RC boats go, I guess that's old school, just manually driving it instead of programming it where to go.
I mean, it makes sense. I mean, hell, I'd rather be in control. I don't want to leave my. Anytime I've been out with Mike and his boat, I'm always like, I watch him. It's like GPS makes me worry. What if the satellite says no? Hey, I don't want to talk. What if it gets stuck out there? No, give it to me in my hand. Let me do it this way. So I get that
Yep.
completely. All right, so let's get into the fun stuff here, and then we're gonna get back to we're gonna get to the really big happy thing for that happened to you in the last 48 hours. So how did you get ahead of the learning curve when it came to surf fishing after you came down here and was like, all right, I'm dedicated. This is what I'm doing.
Well, one of the great things about being a fireman is you do have a lot of downtime, which gave me hours and hours of opportunity to peruse YouTube. And I watched, I probably watched 80% of any saltwater fishing video that had to do with the Gulf of Mexico during that 5 years. I mean, I never stopped watching that. I mean, I've learned there's a couple guys that have, helped, I'd say mentor and push me along with knowledge. And with you put that with all the YouTube videos that are out there, I mean, that's how I furthered my knowledge and gained knowledge, because none of this is anything that I like really came up with. It's all, it's always stuff that's passed down from fisherman to fisherman, and that, word of mouth. And you've always got the old crusty guys that are passing on, the way to do things to the younger guys. And that's basically how all the knowledge. I mean, I'm still learning every day. I don't consider myself at all an accomplished saltwater fisherman. I think I've applied some skills that I've learned, but a lot of it is luck, being at the right place at the right time, and also it's being around the right people. And if you hang around really good fishermen, you're going to become a good fisherman.
Yep, that's true. It's amazing how YouTube though has made the technology so, or not technology, has made the information a little bit easier to attain. Uh, It's same for me. That's how I started. All of a sudden, I watched one thing on YouTube and I was like, "Huh, what's this?" Came a rabbit hole of doom, which turned into, "Okay, we're living here. Oh, we're going out there now a lot. Let's go." So I get that. And with your YouTube channel, that brings us. What made you want to start a YouTube channel?
Well, like there's kind of like what I got into was there was probably three or four main channels that I watched when I first started. There was 30 Miles Out, Ty Sutherland. He's like one of the OGs. He's been doing YouTube saltwater fishing for more than a decade.
Wow. Okay.
And yeah, he's like legit. He's in Texas now, but he was in Florida for about 4 years, I believe, in Pensacola. And I watched all the videos, and then I got in touch with him, and I hired him to take me out a couple times, and we got along real good, and we just became friends. And he's kind of taken me under his wing, and he's always helped me out as far as fishing and YouTube and what to do. He's been a great help, and he's a great teacher. So that he's been the biggest influence on me as far as fishing and YouTube and saltwater. And then, of course, the other channels like land shark fishing, he was just starting to blow up when I started getting into the YouTube thing. And now he's like just ginormous. And I don't know if you've seen land shark, Victor Hluben.
Yeah, I've seen a couple of his stuff. The it was interesting to start trying to. Well, it was mostly for me was I was trying to understand shark fishing, and his channel came up. And I was like, okay, this is like pro level stuff right now. There's no way I'm doing this, but he had some good stuff.
Oh yeah, yeah, great. Great. And he's one of the ones that like, it's great content. You can tell he's not out there filming for his own ego.
Right.
He's out there trying to create content to help people, learn how to fish, how to cook. I mean, there's no way I could ever even come close to his culinary skills. But just watching his catch and cooks are just, there's some of them are just amazing. The the
Yeah.
stuff he fixes.
Yeah. So
So yeah, I had a couple influences like that, and I thought, man, I'm a Okie that doesn't know anything about saltwater fishing, and these guys are helping me out, and I thought I need to do something that's going to help guys like me. There weren't really any channels of guys that are brand new to it,
right.
and I thought this would be a great way for people to see the journey of how it started. And you look at those first videos, and they're pretty bad. they're
They're not
you
bad.
know
You can tell you're new,
well,
but they're
yeah,
not bad.
yeah. And I mean, you see me make all the Guggen mistakes, but I think that's one of the things that appeals to people is that I don't cut out my goofs or my mess ups. I put them in there, and I think that helps people learn from it,
Yeah,
to where
absolutely.
maybe they won't lose that giant fish because they saw me lose it and saw what I did.
Oh man, it's funny watching, and we've talked about it before. Face to face. Like about the kayak ones where, everybody's watching it, and the king's right by your toe, and we're like, ooh, those teeth,
Oh
and you've looked at it like, ooh, oh, I didn't realize that. That was not good.
yeah, oh yeah, oh yeah. I get comments of, "Wow, you almost lost a foot there."
I mean, your stuff in the beginning, and I can see where you were going with it, which made it even better because you're right. There's not a ton of things that started from the beginning, and it really gives somebody a piece of knowledge. Because, well, maybe my thoughts are jaded here, but when you come down here and you start, you're not going to be casting 120 yards. You're not going to be throwing, you're not going to be not snapping lures. You're not going to be using things that aren't right. You're gonna make these mistakes. It doesn't matter how many videos you watch. You're gonna make one of the mistakes,
Oh yeah,
and it's okay because all of those mistakes are not bad mistakes. They're just okay, cool. That didn't work. I'm not going to use that again. I'll use this, and it's really it's not a fail. It's just everything about fishing is learning. It doesn't matter what you're doing.
yeah,
You're learning.
oh yeah,
So,
yeah.
well, I love
The
that
the
you're doing
only
that.
only bad mistake is one that you don't learn from.
Yeah. Yeah. And you keep repeating it, something about the word insanity, I think. I can't remember.
Yeah.
All right. So, has starting the channel changed the way that you fish?
N- mm, yeah, I think it has. I mean, I think it has to. If you're gonna try and make quality fishing content, that always has to be in the back of your mind. Is this gonna work for the camera?
Oh, okay.
Because I think that it doesn't rule the way you fish, but that's always in the back of your mind. And sometimes you forget, and you think, oh crap, I missed that, or I didn't. That's why now I've I've experimented, and trying to find battery combinations with the GoPros, external batteries, to where I don't have to turn them off,
Right.
because I've missed so many things, good and bad, because I didn't have time to hit the button to start it. So now I got it set up where I've got external batteries. I get there to my fishing spot, I turn the cameras on, and they roll until I'm done fishing.
Wow. And the memory cards hold that much, huh? Because I know you're out there for a few hours. You're out there a long time.
Oh
You're
yeah,
not a short runner.
I've filled up a 256 gigabyte card before.
I believe it on the GoPro. I really believe
Yeah,
it.
and that's a bad feeling when you hear the beep beep beep, and then memory card full, and you're like, no.
Because that's when the big red's going to hop on. You're like,
Yep.
this is the one I needed. Ugh.
Oh yeah. Yep.
I love that you do that though. One of my favorite things with your channel has always been you can see it, all the stuff unraw, just straight up, even with the beeps. It's funny. I
Yeah.
love the bleeps. Those are my favorite. I'm like, that's a good one. You totally understand it, but you see it because it's not being embellished. It's real, and you can.
Right.
I've seen you a couple times, like you're fishing and then you've touched the camera and it snapped. You're like, why did I do that? Like you could see yourself just frustrated. Like, I know I didn't need to touch the camera. Why did I do this? But you ever since that one, I don't think I've seen you do it again. Actually, I think I've maybe seen you adjust the camera once since then, and I think it was on your chest. The rest of the time, it's been the line or the pole bumping into the bow one, and it's just like, get over.
Oh yeah.
That one's always in your way. Um,
Yeah.
but I think it's great. It's fun to watch that. So if you all haven't, like I said, if you guys haven't seen this stuff, you definitely need to go take a look at Sean's channel. There's so much good knowledge on all facets. I know this is a surf fishing thing, and we're going to continue in the surf, but it all has its meeting together. So be patient, people. That's all I say. So when it comes to surf fishing, what is your preferred setup for rod, lures, hooks? What do you like to use?
Like when I'm doing like just your standard like surf fishing, like for pompano,
Yeah,
redfish, black drum.
yeah.
Uh, I've got three pin slammers. I've had them now 4 years, and they've they've worked great the whole time. And I've got them on the Shimano Speed Stick medium surf rods,
Okay.
and that seems to be a good combination for me because you hook into a giant black drum and you've got a little spaghetti pompano rod. That's not the easiest thing to try and get in.
Yeah.
So it's a good middle of the road compromise for me is the medium speed stick, and I run 15-pound braid. I basically use frisky fin pompano rigs unless I'm doing something like a Carolina type rig or something in the surf. But that's basically I've got those three surf rods, and then I've also got my surf shark rods, but those are of course a lot heavier.
Yeah, well, those are definitely strong. So
Yeah.
you like because you're on your kayak. Are you using slammers too, or are you using? You're using. I thought you were using those, but I thought maybe you're using something different.
No, I've got uh, I've got kind of my sheep's head set up, with the lighter, the 3000 conflict,
Yeah.
and a light St. Croix rod. And I'm really actually, don't tell my wife, but I'm due for some upgrades because some of the stuff I've had since almost the beginning, and I'm starting to wear some things out. So
Uh,
there's only so many broken tips you can replace on one rod.
yeah. Isn't it weird how all of a sudden the rod collection just magically starts growing? You're like, huh?
Yeah. And
How did
I've
this
got
happen?
like, I don't know what I'm going to do with them, but I got like 7 or 8 broken, rods that I've broke that
Oh, jeez.
aren't fixable. And I'm like, maybe I can find a use somewhere, but
You're pulling the total guy move. I know. I'm gonna have a use for it. I know it. I can fix it. It's gonna be fine.
yeah.
It's gonna be fine. Okay. So that's good. All right. So let's move into this one before we bring it back to the surf because I can't keep biting my tongue on this. It's driving me batty. All right.
Okay.
So for everyone, if you haven't heard, in the Navarre region in the Panhandle, we have had a pretty big run, an unprecedented. I think somebody said they've never seen it like this. Run of blackfin tuna. It started out one day with an accidental post on a Thursday on the Navarre Pier, a record amount. I think it was 22 or 24 pompano or pompano. Yeah, no, not in this game, buddy. Blackfin tuna were caught at the pier. Well, once the word got out, it got real. The next day, the pier was completely packed. I don't think anybody caught a blackfin on the next day at the pier, but the kayakers and the boaters got out there, and the kayakers got into it, and they got their limit. You went out Sunday, was it? Sunday and yesterday?
I went Saturday, Monday, and Tuesday.
Right. And on those 3 days, how many blackfins did you catch?
I hooked up with four and I landed one Monday and one Tuesday. One was 28 pounds and the other was 26 pounds.
I cannot believe you got big tuna. It's so awesome. Sorry. Like,
Yeah, it's crazy.
and this was your first time ever catching them, correct?
Yeah, yeah. I went out Saturday and I got humbled real quick. It it was it was one of those typical guys that go offshore, know exactly what I'm going to say. You go to bed at night, you check magic seaweed, flat, 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 0 to 1 foot swells, and you show up and it looks like a hurricane's coming in.
Yep. Saturday was a weird day.
It was supposed to be flat and nice. We get there and I'm I would call myself a middle of the road kayaker. I'm not accomplished, but I'm not brand new to it. But I have learned through some humbling experiences, I have learned some of my limits. So we get there, and I went with Jack Moran, Yakking with Jack. If you guys haven't seen his channel, check it out. Great content, great guy.
Yep, definitely.
We meet up there, and he's been kayaking a lot longer than I have. So I'm like, yeesh. He's like, man, I'm going for it. And I was like, all right. I was like, I'm going to sit here until there's a little more light so I can at least see my kayak fly over my head when I flip. And so he goes out, him and a buddy, and of course they hook up instantly, and they're sending me pictures, and I'm standing there on the shore, and I'm like, really? Are you serious? And because I was about to pack up and leave, and he sends me a picture. His buddy catches 25-pound tuna. And I was like, God dang it. So I loaded up and I pushed through there, and I just got lucky. I hit a really like calm. Somebody was looking after me because it just smoothed out for 45 seconds, and I launched, and it was like piece of cake.
Oh man.
But two guys flipped launching. Yeah, it was pretty nasty. But of course, I went out, and the bite was pretty much done by the time I got out there because it doesn't last long from what I found out.
Yeah, something like till like sun up to 7:30, 8 o'clock at the very latest, or something like that.
I'd say almost 7 at the latest,
Yeah.
maybe 7:30 at the very latest. So I didn't catch anything, but I saw these guys coming in with these big tuna. I'm like, oh my God, I got to get one.
Yeah.
So I came back and I looked at the surf report, and I was like, oh man, Monday and Tuesday look good. So Jack had to work, and Bearded Brad, another guy with super nice guy with great content. He was going Monday, and so I went out, and Jack couldn't go. He was working, and we launched I get out there before I was on the water at 5:30, and I was already out past the pier before any daylight. And sure enough, as soon as it got light enough, it was just just trolling the crankbait, and it just took off. And you look around and you see 4 or 5 other guys, everybody's hooked up. And yeah, it was pretty awesome. That was my first one ever. Took me 38 minutes to land it.
Wow.
I was scared to death. I was like, I'm not going to pull it because I've pulled the hook before on big fish, trying to horse them in.
Yeah.
And I was like, I am not going to do that. So we just kind of played give and take there for the last 20 minutes. I'd gain, 30 yards, and then he'd take it, and then gain it, and then he'd take it. And finally he got worn out, and I got him in the net. And it was, it's kind of like anytime you catch your first big fish of anything like that, it's kind of a surreal experience, and you're just elated and happy, and it's pretty awesome.
Yeah, I can't wait for the video. I am so excited to be able to watch all the videos of these catches.
Yep. And that one, I was so excited about it. I came right home and started on the video. And it actually came out last night. I got it out the same. That's the first time I've ever put out a video the same day.
No. Yep. Your other one though, with the one you caught today, or was it yesterday?
Yes.
Yeah, it was today's.
The, I caught one yesterday and today.
Yeah. So you've got tuna for quite a while. So it was
Oh yeah.
it was great seeing, so I'm getting ready for the interview and I'm doing a quick Facebook scroll and all of a sudden I saw your sashimi and I was like, "Oh yeah. That." And you've set up something new. So tell me about how you were making it.
Oh, yeah, this was uh Stinky's Bait Shack, which is on 30A. The lady that manages it, Lori, she used to be a charter boat captain, and she's really helped me out a lot. Mentored me in the fishing, and she's old school. So you better not go in there, with any weak stories because she'll line you out real quick. And she she sent me a message and said, "Hey, slice up, the strips, nice thin sashimi strips, make some soy sauce and some wasabi together, and put it all in a gallon bag and just put it in the fridge and eat on it for days."
Oh.
And I was like, "Yeah, that sounds pretty good." So we did that, and then I was at Publix and I saw the Thai peanut sauce, which I love. I thought, "Oh man, I should dip that in the Thai peanut sauce," and I brought that back, and I was like, "Oh my God, I'm gonna eat it all tonight." It- It's so good.
A couple of people I was talking to, they're talking about if they ever caught a tuna, like, dude, I'd be eating it for days. There'd be nothing else. I'd be glutton on tuna.
Oh yeah, we definitely are.
I
We're
think
gonna be like the Bubba Gump shrimp. Yeah. You can fry it, you can boil it.
get some
Love
seared,
it.
put it on a
Yep,
little seared tuna. Oh man. So
yep.
so
Every
now
way possible.
so now every year. I had a big learning experiences. We were the Saturday when you went out. We were Tony, myself, Justin, and a couple of Cliff and a couple other guys. We went to the pier to go whiting and pompano on the first bar, and we saw everybody going out. And it was just like, man, they're getting after it. But then we just started talking about tuna, and a couple of the guys that were going, they're there Thursday, surprised me because I'm not into the peer group. I've never been a fan of the pier. Personally, I don't like getting elbow to elbow with people. It's just not my thing. But they shared a ton of knowledge, and I couldn't believe it. They were saying, yeah, the tuna are here from, I believe they said December, and normally into January. But after that, they normally don't stick around that long. But because this year our water temperature got so funky, they came a little later and they came a lot closer. And
Yeah.
one of them had said a couple years ago somebody had caught one from the surf. One tuna had just come real shallow, and he had a crankbait out there, and he was just throwing it, looking for a red or something, and a tuna
I bet
jumped. And
that
I
was
was
a
like,
surprise.
"Oh man, I couldn't imagine. Like, what is on my line? Can you imagine? Like, what are you using?
Think
Probably,
you think you hooked a 40-pound king mackerel or something.
yeah. And you're out there with like probably 30-pound braid, maybe a 40-pound
Yeah.
shock leader, and you're like, oh, okay, what is this for hours? Oh man, I'd lose my brains. I'd go nuts.
Yeah, that'd be pretty cool.
That would be. All right, so let me bring it back here out of Fantasyland. By the way, everybody, it's been 30 minutes. I apologize. If you haven't done your bait check, you really should. So reel that line in, put pause on this, come back. Go check your bait because you're going to need to catch fish. All right, so what was one of the most challenging things to figure out or learn when you first started surf fishing?
Um, Man, let's see. I would say, well, for me, being like complete newbie, you don't know anything about, because all I've done is lake fishing
Right.
and some trout fishing in rivers. So there's no current or tide flow, water temp. I mean, you don't really worry about water temp that much. Water clarity. There's all of the technical aspects of it that go into, I mean, anybody can go out, throw a bait out, and sit there for a couple hours, but really, I mean, to be successful, you have to learn all this stuff. Moon phases, full moons, how that affects the fish activity, water temperature. That was a little overwhelming when started watching surf fishing videos, trying to take in all that information and then learn how to process it for yourself.
Yeah.
That was probably the toughest part was the data's out there, I mean, on the internet for anything, but it doesn't mean anything if you don't know how to interpret it. So
Right.
that I would probably say that's the toughest part was learning to interpret the data and the fishing is so seasonal too
Yeah.
with what comes in when, and it's all based on water temperature. So you can't say, okay, it's January, they'll be here.
Yeah.
It's
Yeah.
the fish don't care what month it is. That all
Yeah.
they care about water temperature and sunlight,
Hmm. Yeah.
and
Where I know
that
we're all looking forward to 68-degree water temperature.
yeah. Oh yeah.
Oh man, yeah. This
So
this
yeah,
winter.
that'd be the hardest.
Yeah, dude, you nailed it. I mean, it is a lot of info for the saltwater side. You're absolutely right. So if you're new at this, there's a lot of, like he said, there's a lot of info out there, and there's a couple of channels that really break that down. So if you're into YouTube, definitely YouTube in fishing water temperature. I think was the one I pulled up, and I got a couple of good. I got Spencer's and somebody else's. I can't remember, and then the data sheets came up. But yeah, it's different than them bass guys and those trout ones. Like, hey, there's a log. I'm like, all
Yeah.
right, cool, there's a log.
Yep.
If there's a log here, and I don't know if I'm gonna be around it, I'll look for the rocks and let me see the cut, but then go from there.
Yep.
So, you've been extremely successful in all your fishing, and I will happily say that. And you can say what you want, but I think you've been super successful, and it's great learning from you and everything that you've taught so far. Uh, do you have a favorite set of fishing so far?
Uh, a favorite type of fishing
Yeah, yeah, I should have
or
said it that way. Favorite type, yeah. Do you like the
oh
kayak
man,
or sharking or what seems to be the one you wake up, you're like, I want to do that.
this is gonna sound like a cop out, but it's like whatever's on. I mean, I'm still so new to it. This is all I've only been saltwater fishing for 5 years, so everything is still like it's still got that new feel to me.
Yeah,
So, like sheep's head season's here. I'm like pumped to go catch sheep's head. Spring pompano runs here. Well, I can't wait to go pompano fishing. Oh, it's winter. The makos are coming through. Of course, I haven't caught one, but that's still, that's one of my goals. And it's hard to pinpoint. I can't say there's one thing that I like more than the other because I love all of it.
dude, I love that. And you're right. I mean, that's the funny thing too. You're talking about with the sheep's head, the mako. I mean, the mako is a hard one to catch. I learned that recently. I didn't realize how elusive that shark can be. I mean, catchable,
Yeah.
but pretty elusive to get your hands on. But you're right. I mean, the Pompano run, the summertime is like, all right, we know when the good ones are. Run out there and go. And I think it's cool because you're always doing it. I mean, you get the kayak out a lot, and you're able to play those games. You're able to go for the sheeps, the monster reds, the black drums. You've shown all those, and then sharking. Yep, hey, this is how we do it. This is how I'm running it. It's not trying to pump you up here, sorry, but super inspirational for the thought of like if I'm a new person, hey, I want to follow this because I can get an idea of what I need to play with for seasons, and you've really highlighted that for a lot of people, so thank you for doing that.
Well, oh, that's great, man. I mean, that's what I want to do. I want to, make it easier for the guy. I don't want the guy coming down from because I was that guy,
Yeah,
coming down from Massachusetts or Oregon or wherever, that gets to go fishing one time a year in the salt. I want him to, you know, be able to be successful and have fun.
yeah,
I mean, that's Florida's economy that I found out is like basically it is tourism is what drives the economy here. So why wouldn't you want everybody that comes down to visit, be successful?
well, I mean, you and I can see on that one. There's other people like, well, there's too many people. Yeah, well, they're helping us out. It's okay. We're gonna go with that. There's plenty of fish. Don't worry.
Yeah, that's back to Ty from 30 miles out. That was like the one thing that he's always preached. You can see it from all of his videos from day one is the theory of abundance. as far as fishermen go. Now, I'm not talking about commercial fishing.
Yeah,
I'm
no,
just talking
that's a
about,
different game.
right. Recreational fishermen are not going to wipe out, you know, or they're not going to ruin a fishery if they follow, the rules that are set. There's plenty of fish for everybody. There's plenty of room for everybody to go fish, and I want everybody to be successful.
Yeah, it's one thing I do love it here too is you. Depending if you go somewhere else, we're spoiled here. You've been in Navarre, you fished this area. We got so much of the national seashore where there's no houses, no condos. You got to walk if you want to really get away from people, especially during
Right.
the summer. But if you're down in 30A or Panama City, you're playing the game of all right. I got to be here before I can be at the high tide line because legally that's what I'm allowed. But you got to deal with swimmers.
Right.
So
Right.
you really got to a lucky here when it comes to Florida. We have that availability. So come on down, people. It's all good. Um, when you go out, do you have a preferred bait from the surf? I know fleas, ghost shrimp, crabs, all that stuff is good because I use it. My cooler is always full of
Um,
bait. Anything you like in particular?
Man, my go-to is fish bites.
Yep.
Just just because it's so practical. You you cut a piece off, you put it on your hook, and you know it's going to be on there for at least 20, minutes or so. You don't you don't have to wonder, did those pinfish, peck the shrimp off of there? That's my go-to in the surf, and I know that's kind of a I wouldn't say cop out, but it's like a oh, just a generalization. But man, I love sand fleas. I want to work this year more with ghost shrimp. I haven't really used ghost shrimp a lot. That's something I want to explore more. But man, it's hard to beat a combo of some fish bites and a sand flea on there. I
Yeah.
mean, there's just anything that swims along the beach will eat that.
Yeah. My biggest red drum was caught on a piece of uh, sand flea fish bites only. No shrimp.
Yep.
Just a piece of sand. Just a piece of fish bites.
Yeah, and when you have people, come down fishing the first time, they're like, "That's all you put on the hook?"
Yeah,
And
it works.
you're like, "Yeah, it works." And they're like, "No, that looks like bubble gum tape."
Uh
I'm
huh.
like, "It works."
Yeah. Now go fish with it. Trust me, it'll work.
Yep.
And I've had this conversation. Hell, I put in a blog story about it before. The fish are all going to go crazy for whatever bait of the day. You could be out there with shrimp; they're not going to touch it, but they want
Right.
but they want fish bites. Well, they don't want fish bites; they want sand fleas.
Oh
You
yeah.
always have that stuff. But yeah, the synthetic baits have been huge advantage makers for us in the fishing world. I
Yeah.
think.
Especially when you have things like the red tide rolls through, that wipes out the
Ugh.
sand fleas for that season.
Yeah.
Well, you can't find sand fleas anywhere, but you can get sand flea fish bites. So, it'll bail you out when times are tough like that.
Yeah, I was terrified this year when it started creeping. I was like, please don't get to our fishery. Hold back. Oh, man.
Oh yeah, because it was like my second year fishing down here when that bad one hit. What was that, 2017?
That was before my time
That
being here, but okay.
oh man, I was like, what in the world? I'm kayak. I've got one of my oldest videos out there. I go out to kayak fish, and you know how you see, the tide lines with like the kind of, the bubbles and stuff.
Yeah.
Well, it was that, except it was all made up of dead fish.
Oh, man.
And I'm talking 40 plus inch reds, giant bull reds, uh, 28-inch trout. And yeah, it was I was just like, what in the world? And that was my introduction to red tide
Yeah.
was that. And I'm kayaking through there and you just see these just trophy fish, all of them just floating. Yeah, it was bad. It was real bad.
Yeah, it's gut wrenching, man. Just thinking about it, it's like, I'm not the super tree hugger by any way. I do believe in conservation, but seeing something like that would be like, that would just rip me up. I don't know why.
Yeah.
That's no good. So,
Oh yeah.
what do you think that, or why do you think surf fishing just became so popular? Well, what Yeah, but there's always one of those ones for down here. We always have the beaches full, which is great. No problems with that. We think it's awesome. But what do you think the popularity i- is with it?
Anybody can do it and be successful.
Nice.
You can be an 8-year-old kid and you can be successful surf fishing. I mean, I just think it's the availability and access. You just need one rod and a little spot on the beach, and you can go be successful.
Mm. Ah, the beach. Sorry. Just thinking, I'm like, I can't wait for fall or spring. I just, this winter, the surf has been gut wrenching. It's just been painful every day. It's like, come on, something. Anything. I'll take a catfish bite.
Yeah, I haven't heard anybody say this has been a decent surf fishing winter.
No, I mean last winter
It's
was great. Justin, Mike, and I were actually talking about it the other day. We were going through our Facebook memories. We were picking off in January. We were picking off 16, 17-inch pompano, red drum, black drum, a great whiting. I think I had a 12er day, one whiting day in the winter. This winter, no, that's been a funny joke of the entire year.
Yeah, and the whiting has been very strange
Yeah.
because every year until this year, like you've always been able to go down to the beach and you can catch enough whiting, for dinner.
Yep.
And it's just they're just I don't know where they are.
Yeah. I mean, well, the pier, I've been told numerous times they're schooling up there. So it's like, okay, so they're hanging around structure, but even dropping, good bait in front of them, a lot of them are like, no, I'm good. I don't need it. I'm not hungry. So it's been a weird fishing year for
Yeah.
that. I hooked up on I mean, what was it actually? Saturday, yeah. I hooked up on a great bluefish on a piece of mullet. Just I threw it down there just to see what would happen. I didn't expect anything. I just was hoping for something to get angry and swim by and grab it. And sure enough, great bluefish grabbed it. Unfortunately, it somehow managed to flop off my hook when the assistant person brought the line vertical up out of the water for me and not through my cast net. But we're not going to talk about that. No, we're not going to talk about that bluefish sandwich that I didn't get to eat. But I was surprised to see a blue. I was like, all right, cool. They're still here, but they aren't. They're not here in like the droves they were this summer, where you went out at 6 o'clock right at sunbreak, threw out your spoon, and all of a sudden, you got a limit by
Right.
7:30.
Yeah.
So, all right. So what's next for the Lawless Tide?
Oh man. Gosh.
Yeah, I know it's
I
one of
don't
those
I'm
fun
just
ones, huh?
yeah, I'm just I mean I mean you think you think all right, I know all the fish that I want to catch and then like this weekend, well now I got a new thing that I love. Blackfin tuna, you know. It's always seems like it's endless.
Yeah.
Um, we've been going down. My wife is a seashell nut, and I mean, literally, she has a problem. We've got no, we've got boxes upon boxes of seashells, and we go down to Sanibel 1 to 2 times a year, and that's kind of like a Disneyland for fishermen if you're up here in the northern part of Florida,
Yeah.
because we don't have snook. Those 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 fish are a blast. It's like somebody injected largemouth bass with radioactive steroids, and they are just so fun, and they're such they hit baits just so violent. It's just so much fun, and I haven't broke the 40-inch mark yet. That's one of my goals. I've caught a 38-inch snook, and that's the biggest. I've been trying for the past 2 years, to break that 40-inch mark with a snook, and it hadn't happened. I've gotten close, and I've gotten broke off a few times that I thought might have been it, but that's one of my goals for next year
Nice,
is
man.
the 40-inch snook.
I feel like being broke off is worse than. It's almost worse than just getting it out there. Like I guess the break off that you can see, when they're close, that to me
Yes.
is worse than like, oh, he came off the hook out 20 yards. Like, whatever, I didn't see it. That sucks. But when you see him in like the surf monster right there at that line of final cut, and you're like, oh, that is a good fish. That has got to
I
be painful.
I don't know. For me, I've got a pretty good imagination. So the the ones that break off that you don't see, that might be even worse because my mind starts going, that might have been the one, that or if that was the trophy or that was the fish you've been trying to catch.
Yeah,
So
every time during Pompano season one pops off, I mean, I have been known to say, well, there went the Florida record Pompano. Just didn't land it today.
oh yeah.
I get that. That makes more sense, yeah. All right, so what do you recommend a new angler does before they ever get a line in the water?
I would say somebody that's wanting to saltwater fish, I would say go check out YouTube. Watch I mean, and there's some like great like classic guys like Blair Wiggins. I think I've watched every episode of his show. Just he's a funny guy. I got to meet him at ICAST. Super nice guy, but he just he does any type of fishing you can just about think of. He's got it out there from his TV show, and I mean just like that or 30 miles out with Ty. Uh, he goes into a lot of basics on like redfish and trout, sight fishing, um, fishing the flats, things like that. I'd say go decide, what you want to do, and then go search it on YouTube.
Okay, well, good stuff right there. I mean, hell, we learned from it. We're
Yep.
doing
But
okay.
I mean I'm biased. That's coming from a YouTube guy. So
But you also, yeah, but on the same one, you started there. You learned it from there, and then you
right.
built it from. And I think, and one of the things you said earlier, it is funny that you say it because it's kind of what happened with me. One of the first videos I watched was between, I think it was Tony's, I think it was Fish Gum, and then it was Bama. Both of those were like the big ones for me to start learning when I was in Tennessee. And then
Uh-huh.
I accidentally met Tony in Walmart, of all places. And I was like, oh, wow, you're really him. But every YouTuber I've ever met since then, it's always like, yeah, you can talk, you can send a message and ask a question. More than likely, we're going to answer it. This elu- you're not this elusive crowd that doesn't want to talk to people or won't answer a question if somebody sends a message in.
Right.
You
Yeah.
you are super responsive on all your comments. I've noticed that. And like we know each other, and I know you could text me like, "Dude, what are you doing?" You just message me, but I know that you respond to every one of them. Well, mostly, pretty much
Oh
every
yeah.
one of them, actually. You do.
Well, yeah, and that mean like when I was starting out and I had to, make a comment or something, it means that's, human interaction. It means something to you when
Yeah.
somebody responds to you and they listen to you. So yeah, I always try to answer every question, and even the ones that are mean spirited, I always try to answer those with a little humor.
Oh, those
So,
ones.
but I
Uh,
spent 25 years on the fire service, so you're going to have a hard time out insulting me. That'll be really tough because the fire department is brutal. And if you don't learn comebacks, you're not going to survive.
no. See, it's funny. You being on the firefighter side, I've talked to a couple others, friends that were cops. Me being a Marine, and my other military friends, we all kind of get together and we just kind of laugh. It's like, was that? Hold on, was that supposed to hurt me? Uh, you're gonna
Yeah.
have to try better, dude. My soul's been dead for years. Come on, come on.
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. I got abused for 25 years. So
Yeah.
if you're going to make fun of my fishing, go for it.
At the end of the day, by the way, hold on. Scoreboard. Who got the tuna? Just wondering.
Yeah.
Just wondering. Making sure. Oh, we're good. Oh, okay. Oh man. Thank you again, Sean. Really, seriously, I appreciate you coming on here, man. You've dropped a ton of great knowledge. And I know you've got so much more to give. Yeah, not to mention with your channel. And congratulations on the new hits, man. Congratulations on the tunas.
Oh, thanks, man. I appreciate it. Thanks for having me on here. This was a blast. I mean, I always love talk fishing. So,
Yeah. It's one of my favorite parts of this podcast. It's like, what do you want to talk about? We're just going to talk about fishing. We do it.
yep.
We
Yep.
would do it if we were fishing, so it's all good. Let's just record it and get it out there for people to learn something from. It's easy.
Oh yeah,
Um,
and I love fishing podcasts. I listen to fishing podcasts anytime I'm driving. Uh, there's no music on. It's fishing podcasts. So
there have been
yeah,
some good ones.
it's a great medium.
Yep. All right, buddy. Well, we will. So again, everybody, if you want to get, well, let you get out of here. So thank you again. We'll talk soon for sure.
All right, thanks, Brian.
Yeah, man. Thank you. All right. So, as I was starting with everybody, you can find Sean on the Lawless Tide on YouTube, Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, all these things on there. He's got a ton of knowledge. And seriously, go back and take a look at one of his first sets of videos. He wasn't kidding when he was like, you could tell it was a little raw, but it was important at the same one, like he said, about you can see where the start was. We all start somewhere. We've all maybe had the Walmart brand lines, or we've all, snapped a sinker that we shouldn't have done it a certain way. We're all learning, and we can all learn from each other. And that's one of my favorite parts about this podcast is hopefully you're learning something that's going to make you a better angler. So I appreciate you coming by every week. I always think it's great that you get to listen to these episodes. If you got something you learned from it, by all means, please like it, share it, let somebody else learn. It's not going to hurt to make them a better angler. So thanks again for coming around. We appreciate you. I will definitely get you some more fun episodes coming here soon. So, all right, y'all have a great week, and you've been listening to Finding Demo Surf Fishing. We'll see you later.